Hey kids, Grandpa here, up here in Alaska, freezing my bippy off. How you doing, Sorrenti? Yes, you are always here first. I kind of like that. It makes me realize I'm going to have a good live stream when I get on here and I see your name smiling at the top of the list. Kind of pleasant. Give it a minute here and let some other folks wander in as they may or might. Maybe we'll get a couple of 3 folks today. I don't know. Hard to tell. Hard to tell. A lot going on today. A lot going on. Indianapolis 500, the America's Cup, just a bunch of stuff going on. So, hey, Christine. Hello, Austin. Welcome. I'm glad you're doing good, Sorrenti. I really am. I'm glad you're doing well. I often wonder about my peeps, as it were, my people out there that I socialize with. Don't get to speak to much people often, so it's kind of nice to touch base with you from time to time. Trying you out for the first time today. Well, SV definitely maybe. I like that name. Welcome. I'm glad you made it here. Doodle's new catamaran. Yeah, something else, huh? Old Doodles is going to get a catamaran. I find that particularly funny. For those of you that don't know, Sailing Doodles is a sailing channel. Megan and Bob and 2 dogs, Maverick and Goose, a couple Labradoodles, and they've been on a 35-foot monohull down in the Caribbean. And you know, the whole time they did their show, they were sort of trash talking on catamarans, how they didn't like catamarans and they much prefer monohulls. And now all of a sudden they have an opportunity to be out sailing on a catamaran, and all that changes. I thought that was just hysterical, but I'm really glad for them, definitely maybe. I'm really glad for them. Of course, once they go cat, they're going to have a hard time going back. So it'll be interesting now to see what happens, because they're not going to own the boat. They're just going to operate it and do some charters on the boat. It's going to be owned by Jim, another fella. And so... So, you know, you always have those concerns in those circumstances. You know, I've known a lot of people that have been crew on other people's boats, and sometimes it works out fine for many, many years, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work out fine. Actually, some horror stories. I knew one couple that were all the way down island. They had a monohull, which they had left up in the USVI, and had sailed the guy's cat all the way down island. And apparently, you know, they chartered for this guy for years. You know, they've done hundreds of charters, and then they just ended up having a bad one where these people were really just difficult, as you're going to have from time to time. And well, the owner of the boat flew down. Apparently, these people were friends of his and blew up and just literally put them ashore. He got on his boat and put them ashore on this little island that didn't even have a flight service out of. So they had some real problems, and they eventually got back to their monohull. But, you know, dropped them off, no money, no nothing, just get off my boat sort of thing. Bad situation. So I hope Bob and Megan are smart enough to keep some resources behind them, protect them from that kind of nonsense. For the most part, though, those things pretty well work out. So it'll be kind of exciting to see. It'll be exciting to see what happens with them. I got to tell you guys, I am jealous as all get out. I really am. I wanted to do this. I've wanted to do this for decades. For decades, I wanted to buy a sailboat and go sailing. And my wife kept putting obstacles in our way all the time, always putting obstacles in the way. And it got to be a problem after a while, to the point where I finally did divorce her. But, you know, if she had just gotten on board with it and we had gone years ago, I hate to think where we would be at today, because, you know, you see all these people that have come way behind after I had the idea, Vagabond and Delos and some of these groups, some of these channels, and it's just exasperating to me. And now here, you know, the Sailing La Vagabond's now moved on to an Outremer catamaran, beautiful, beautiful brand new boat. And now apparently Sailing Doodles is going to be on my all-time favorite boat, a Lagoon 440, let me just show you guys, for those that aren't so experienced. This is what a Lagoon 440 looks like. It's a big sailing catamaran, 44 feet long, 24 foot wide, twin engines. The ones that I've chartered have air conditioning and generators, and I like to charter what's known as an owner's version, which means the starboard hull has just one cabin in it. You sleep in the bedroom towards the back, and your bathroom's up in the front. The head's up in the front, and you got a little sitting area there in the middle. And the porthole, the left side of the boat porthole, has two cabins and two bathrooms, so it's a little different situation. Can you guys still hear me out there? Because I'm not seeing any comments at all. Am I not broadcasting? Hello? Anybody hear me? Huh. I don't see me broadcasting anything. Yes, you can hear me. Okay, good. You guys got awful quiet all of a sudden, so had me worried about you. Okay. So anyhow, this is what that Lagoon 440 looks like, and it is my quintessential, it's my dream boat. It is the boat that I would love to own. Hey, last nice guy, you just made it here. You can hear me. All right, excellent, good. Yeah, so this is the Lagoon 440. One of the things I really like about the Lagoon 440 is the way the back of the boat's designed. I do a lot of scuba diving, and so this boat, as you can see, it's got twin sugar scoops. That means the sterns are of such a design that it's easy to get in and out of the water onto the boat. So as for us fat old bastards like myself, that makes it easy. But, you know, having the dog on the board and that kind of stuff makes it easier for them to get in and out. So, hey, Kitty, welcome. Glad you made it here. Glad you guys could hear me. Thank you. Wonderful, blessed life. Good evening. Welcome here. Hey, Baba, how you doing? What's for dinner, Baba? Looks like you guys are eating. So anyhow, this Lagoon 440 is just an awesome boat. You can see those aluminum or stainless steel sticks sticking up off the back. Those are your davits for lifting your dinghy up out of the water. It has been and always was my all-time favorite boat. And now my good friend Bob over at Sailing Doodles, I guess he's going to be sailing on one for a while. So I'm jealous, folks. I mean, the green monster is all over me. I am really jealous of all these sailing channels that are getting on catamarans, which has been my dream and passion, and I can't afford one. Nowhere near. Nowhere near. So after going through the divorce and all that kind of stuff and trying to get back on my feet, I'll be happy to buy a really nice monohull. In fact, that's kind of what I'm looking at now. There's a couple nice monohulls I'm looking at. You guys heard me talking about the Dufour, and I'm not necessarily looking just for a Dufour, but it seems like I'm finding some of those recently. I recently saw or spoke to a lady on a chat group and found out about this boat on Craigslist. This is in California. This is a Dufour 48. So she's a big ship. In fact, she's a pretty good sized girl. She is, let me get the specs over here behind me. 48 foot long. She's got a beam of 15 feet 2 inches. So she's a real fat bottom girl. She drafts 7 feet, which is a bit much. I was hoping for something with a shallower draft than that. And other than that, she seems like a pretty nice boat. She's got plenty of room on her, is well equipped. So it might work out well. Last nice guy, yeah, Bobby's boat won't work for me. I see you have that in there. I need something that's got a open stern to it to make it get in and out of the water easy. Bob's boat doesn't have that. He's got a very high freeboard, which makes it very difficult to get in and out. Let's see. Refitting my 77 Gulfstar 43cc. Oh, nice. Very nice. Gulfstar 43. That's a very nice boat. Megan comes with it. Yeah, well, now that might be a consideration if Megan came with it. She is a lovely girl. Talking of which, here's Kim. Hey, Kim Binkley, how are you? Now I can see the chat. Okay, well, I'm glad you can see the chat. Last nice guy, you'll have to behave. Megan's mom's in the room. Welcome, Kim. Glad you made it here. So, anyhow, so this is a 448, and it's got some interesting assets to it. It's got a really nice big cockpit, so it's got plenty of room. This cockpit picture is weird. It makes the boat look really long and skinny, and it's got a 15-foot beam, so it's quite a bit wider than that. In fact, when you look at the interior of the boat, let me jump over to that. You can see she's a real fat bottom girl. She's got plenty of room in her, so she's pretty wide. Kim, I'm glad to see you're doing well. Hey, Kelly, nice to see you made it here too. Had an exciting time on old Bobby and Megan's live stream earlier today. Some pretty interesting stuff talking about that catamaran that they're looking at buying. I'm really jealous, guys. Really am. I'm dealing with severe green monster issues, but anyhow, it is what it is. So here's what the galley of this 448 looks like that I'm looking at. The lady wants a bit more money for it than I can afford. Of course, that's always the way. But 48 feet, that's a lot of boat, and a 15-foot beam, that's a big wide girl, and she's got a stern that opens up to fold down flat to give you some room. So she might be a real nice option for me. So there's another Dufour that I'm looking at. Now, of course, if I had the money, what I would do is I would go ahead and get that Lagoon 440 that old Bobby and Megan are going to be sailing soon, but I can't afford one of those. Although the one that they're looking at is $239,000, the one that's in St. Thomas, which I thought was a really cheap price on it. But the boat's got 4,800 hours on its engines, which means the engines and sail drives in that lagoon are pretty much shot. The rule of thumb that I like to use is I take the hours on the engines and I multiply that by 60. And that gives me a sort of a reference point as comparative to a motor vehicle. So if you had 4,800 hours, you times that by 60, that'd be like having a diesel engine with 288,000 miles on it. Now, I've gotten diesel engines to go a lot further than that, but not often. I like to buy, if I'm going to buy a used diesel, I like to have it be under 100 or around 100,000 miles. At least that way I know I'm only halfway through its life. Sorry, I had to get a little water in me. That cat's going to be a good stepping stone for them. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I have some question, I guess, as to how they transition out of that. How do they wrap up that deal? I mean, once they sign on, I think the guy's name is Jim. Once they sign on with Jim to sail his boat and charter with them and all, I don't know exactly how they'll transition away from that, but it's going to be a good learning experience for them. Catamarans are a whole different game. I hear a lot of this anti-cat, cat versus monohull nonsense that goes on, all that drama. But the reality of it is, folks, when you're on a Lagoon 440 like this one, you really just got to sail it by the numbers. You got to look at what the wind speed is and is going to be, and set your sail plan for that and sail by those numbers. And if the wind picks up, you gotta drop some sail, or you gotta release the sail and let it blow out the excess. So you gotta keep the boat a little underpowered all the time. And if you do that, you're never going to have a problem with it. They're such a stable platform. La Vagabond just did a post where they were talking about moving. They were moving at 7 knots speed over ground and 20 knots of wind. I'm sorry, 11 knots. They were doing 11 knots and 20 knots of wind. And while they were doing that, the girl was down below cooking up a stir fry and editing a video without getting seasick. I guess because you're not really down below on a catamaran, you're just in the cockpit. So it'll be interesting to see how Megan and them get spoiled on that Lagoon 440. I know I sure as heck wish I could afford one, but I can't. Of quarter of one. Maybe I could buy half a hull. I don't know. Let's see. Definitely maybe says I bought my boat cheap with intentions of returning all components times to 0. I plan on sewing my own sail and sail pack. I want to head south to Bora Bora in 3 years. Okay, so I assume by that you're going to buy a Sailrite sewing machine. That seems like what everybody does. I know I have one sitting here on the floor right next to me, actually. I have a Sailrite LS1, brand new in the case. We used it a little bit for sewing up some dog stuff for my daughter, but it really hasn't been put through its paces yet. And for those ladies that are listening, Sailrite sewing machine is a walking foot commercial rated sewing machine designed for sail manufacture, for making the sails and the dodgers and all the heavy canvas stuff work that you do on sailboats. So, yep, and their sail kits. Yep, absolutely, definitely. Yeah, it's a great idea. It definitely is. Definitely, maybe is. I like that. Bora Bora, that'd be a nice place to go to. Why Bora Bora? And is that you're just going to end there? And then what happens when you get to Bora Bora? You got to go on from there. I mean, I would love to sail to Bora Bora, but it would only be a stop in a plan to go around the world. So, Kitty's Homestead, good machines. Okay, Kitty. Well, cool. Have you ever used a Sailrite, Kitty? I know you do some sewing on your homestead, but I rather imagined you use more, domestic residential type machines than these big heavy sail machines. Because a Sailrite, if you're just sewing up some cotton or something, something lightweight, it's overkill. Although, if you've got to fix a pair of blue jeans, you can lay 5-6 layers of denim on that Sailrite, and it'll just walk right through it like it was nothing, just like butter. They're made for handling that. So, no, I wish get a lot done faster though. Yeah, they're pretty heavy machines. They can definitely sail right through the heaviest projects. It is my sailing end state. Anywhere further would be great, but that is my dream destination. Okay, I get that. Have you been to Bora Bora before? It's an interesting place, beautiful, beautiful place. Some political uneasiness right now, especially in regards to real estate ownership and development there on Bora Bora, but beautiful, beautiful spot. I when I was a kid, I had watched the play South Pacific. In fact, I had the great opportunity, since I grew up on Long Island. We went to the Jones Beach Theater on Long Island, and I watched Guy Lombardo and his orchestra play South Pacific, the play South Pacific, which had most of the original cast from the movie in it at the time, which was really cool to be able to go there and see that. And it always impressed me about wanting to go to the South Pacific and see Bora Bora and Tahiti and all those places. So definitely very high on my hit list. Absolutely. And I can understand that being a goal. I've got a lot of different goals. It may seem odd. I graduated high school from a U.S. Navy DOD high school in Bahrain in the Persian Gulf. I would like to sail my own sailboat up to Bahrain and visit Bahrain again. Last time I was there was 1977, showing my age. So it's been a day or two, changed a little bit since then. But still, I bet you a lot of the things. I know the school I went to was still there, still having classes. So it'd be kind of cool to go back and see that. Last Night's got great musical. Oh, yeah, South Pacific was an awesome musical play. Very good. I kind of like those old classic, Broadway type things. That was pretty cool. Hey, T, welcome. Glad you made it. So I have a moderator, guys. Everyone has to behave now because I got a moderator. So whack you with the wrench. Oop. Getting all kind of pinging on my phone over here. Okay. Stephen got a snubber. Good to know. Okay, so that's what I wanted to talk about, was about this sailboat I was looking at. Hey, Grandpa from Disney area, Florida. Hey, Laredo. I used to be south of you. I spent some of last year down in the Marathon in Florida Keys. Had a real estate office there that I opened and closed all in the same year, thanks to my now ex-wife. Dear. Hey, Teresa, dear. Can you hang for 20 minutes? Hey, home place, we'll be here for 20 minutes. Go do what you got to do. Grizz isn't here, so we don't got any trouble. There you go, Sorrenti. Yep. You know, I have not seen Grizz in a while. He's got his own channel going now, so he's pushing pretty hard to build up his own channel. And actually, it's building pretty nicely. Being the grizzled old curmudgeon that he is, you got to be careful on there sometimes. It's not child-friendly or family-friendly, but still pretty good. Kitty, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking, dear. I'm glad you're here. Home place can hang longer than me. I would fall to my death if I had to hold on for 20 minutes. Determination, Teresa. Determination. Yep. Grizz has some great funny videos. Yes, he does. He's an interesting character. Made a nice video sailing out of Pearl Harbor yesterday on my neighbor's boat. I live on my boat in Pearl. Oh, cool. Definitely, maybe. Very nice. You know, I don't know much about sailing in Hawaii. I've actually not been to Hawaii. One of the places, the only state in the United States I've not been to is Hawaii. So I need to definitely maybe need to go there. It's on my YouTube channel. Well, definitely maybe I will have to check that out. I'm surprised I'm not a subscriber of yours. I bet you I am a subscriber of yours. I would find it hard to believe that there's a sailing channel out there that I don't subscribe to. But let me grab my pen and paper so I can write down, and I will, if I am not a subscriber, I certainly will be shortly after this live stream. Because I like to follow what's going on with people in this genre. Now, if I could only spell correctly, definitely maybe. Ha. And that brings me to another thing I wanted to do was a shout out. I wanted to do a little bit of a shout out today for those of you that are following along. Tell me about what channels you seem to like, or let's not talk about dislikes. What channels do you like out there right now on YouTube? What is your favorite #1 YouTube channel that you've been watching lately? Or what's something new that you find interesting that you think would be a good idea to share with everybody else? I would be interested to know the answer to that. So if you would go ahead and give me those figures, guys. Come on. Tell me who you're thinking of. I'll start off by telling you Sailing Kegestral, Kejestral. Sailing Kegestral. I've been following them lately. They're sailing a boat around Turkey and Greece and the islands there in the Mediterranean. Really cool. Instagram channel also has pictures and video of my reef fit. Instagram. Oh, on your Instagram channel. Okay, that's not the name of a YouTube channel. In the South Pacific, you need to look out for a bulk ore carrier called Titan. Should make a good YouTube clip. Hey, there you go. Yep. Sailing Zatara. Yeah, Sailing Zatara is pretty good. I agree with that. Carl, would be so easier to just say which one I do not like. Okay, well, I'm trying to keep things positive, Teresa. Penn Museum Lecture Series. Okay. Penn Museum. I don't think that's quite in the sailing genre, Austin, but still interesting. I'll have to check it out. To Afloat Sailing, definitely maybe. I get that. Kitty says my channel and Alderman Farms. Okay, those are in the homesteading genre. My old genre that I used to be in. Definitely maybe I'm a family guy. Okay, not going to start promise. Okay. If I'm a sub, then I like them, not going to start promise. Okay. To Afloat Sailing. Okay, well. Yep, well, for those of you in the sailing genre, check out Sailing Kegestral. Kejestral, I believe is the way they type it up. They actually do really nice quality videos. Their production quality is pretty good. I find it interesting because I really like seeing them sailing around some of the antiquities in the Greek Isles and around Turkey. I find that pretty interesting. When I was a kid, I remember in 1970, my dad bought a Volkswagen Beetle in Germany. He was a vice president for Pan Am at the time. And Mom and my sister Terry and I, we all flew to Frankfurt in Germany and picked up this Volkswagen Beetle. And then we drove around Europe for the summer in order to bring it back to the United States as a used vehicle. So we drove down through Germany and Austria, Switzerland, northern Italy. We didn't do Spain or France at that time. And then drove down through what was then Yugoslavia. Actually, we got down into Greece, down the Greek Isles. We took a sailboat over to Istanbul, a charter ferry boat over to Istanbul. And then on Istanbul, we drove back up from Turkey and then through Yugoslavia, which is now a whole bunch of other countries, and Bulgaria, and then back into Austria and Germany, and then was able to fly it back to the United States as a used vehicle. So I thought that was pretty cool and an interesting experience. And I drove that 1970 Volkswagen Beetle when I went to college, so it gives you an idea how long we had it. When I went to college, it was a 8-9-year-old car at that time, and I drove it for probably 10 years after that. When I got rid of it, it was because the bottom of it had rusted out and the suspension was flexing, and it got a ripple on the roof. It was literally breaking in two when I got rid of that VW Beetle. But it was real interesting experience driving through that whole area. And so now I've been kind of like watching their channel, seeing the places that they're going, and reminding myself of some of the places I went to with my mom and sister that we saw, which was pretty cool. The Honeymooners with Seth Haynes channel. They had a Lagoon 380. I watched them over and over. Oh, cool. Thank you for your service. Yeah, guys, happy Memorial Day. I should have started right out with that. Anybody here that's been ex-military or current military, please do. Thank you for your service. Absolutely excellent. Kitty's Homestead. Sailing La Vagabond is one I've heard of. Yeah, Sailing La Vagabond is a very interesting channel, Kitty. It's about a young couple sailing around the world on a sailboat. They just got a deal from Outremer Sailboats, so they sold their monohull and are now sailing around. They're just starting. I mean, literally, they've done like one episode so far of them on their new catamaran sailboat sailing around the Mediterranean. So it'll be good. Penn Museum is a great Voyages series. Oh, really? Gilgamesh and Odyssey? I'll have to check that out. Let's not tell our ages yet. Yeah, Teresa, too late for that. I follows many channels. Sailor Rado BP Mod. I like Delos for their energy levels in the vids. The Winds for preppy, well-edited videos. Doodles for a raw, more real vids. Same goes for Two Afloat Sailing. Interesting. I could keep going. Yeah, there's a lot of channels that offer a lot of positives and negatives, and I agree with you and your synopsis on all of those. Absolutely. There's a lot of good channels and a lot of variety out there, and that's cool that there's a lot of variety. We need a lot of variety. Multi-tour combat bet. Well, thank you for your service, Laredo BP. Seriously, thank you for your service. I've lost family members in the war. I myself didn't serve. I was just at that wrong age. They stopped the draft when I was just about old enough to be drafted, and I was too old when they came back around to the next war, so I missed it. It wasn't like it was a decision on my part. I just didn't have an option. So thank you for your service, sir. I definitely appreciate what you've done for our country and everybody else out there that served in the military. More about sailing. Tracy, you should learn more about sailing. It's an interesting sport. In fact, right now on NBC Sports, rather, they're showing the America's Cup, which I've been following. Today's the second day of the America's Cup. It'll be going on all this month. And I'm sad to say the Team USA, we lost to the Swedish. We beat the Japanese, we beat the French, we beat the Germans, we beat the English, but we lost to the Swedish in one race. We're still in first place with having the more wins and loses than anybody else, but we were beat by the Swedish. And I don't know why. We were just completely off. It's not like they were sailing particularly well. Our guys were just not there for it, I guess. But been interesting to watch that. So if you have an opportunity to check out NBC Sports and watch the America's Cup, very cool stuff. And of course, the Stanley Cup's going on right now, and the Indianapolis 500, which I don't know if you can see. I have it paused, but I've got that on the TV right now. I was just watching it when the live stream started. All this ridiculously good TV going on, and all I can think about is, man, I really wish I had sold my property and was out of here not watching TV. I'd much rather be sailing a sailboat than watching people race them. So, but that's just who I am, I guess. So, great uncle was killed in Pearl Harbor. Sorry to hear that, T. Great uncle in the Battle of the Bulge. Wow. Not a good idea to be a great uncle of yours. Years before they could bring him home. I'm sorry to hear that. Did 6 years. Last night's guys did 6 years. Very cool. Thank you for your service, sir. Appreciate it. Seriously, appreciate it. Thought and prayers to Sailing Trio Travels. They're currently down the starboard engine and rudder due to the cat due to submerged object strikes near the Dominican Republic. They are south of Cuba currently. How did I miss that? I didn't catch that. Huh. Yeah, there's, an engine strike can be devastating. Actually, one of my big fears about sailing is being hit by a whale. This past week, they just had a big rescue out in the middle of the Atlantic. They rescued a couple out on a monohull that had a whale strike. The whale had dented their hull and wrecked their rudder and their drive shaft. And they were having success fighting it, bailing and patching and working their way through, but they finally got another commercial ship came by them and plucked them off of their boat, and within an hour their boat was underwater and sank. So all their efforts that they were putting in trying to keep it afloat was working, but once they quit an hour later and their boat was completely gone. So whale strikes are not something to joke about. You can do some serious damage hitting something while you're out in the ocean. I plan on making repairs in the Yucatan. Yucatan. Well, yeah, probably a pretty good idea. I don't know how well services are for having engine work done in the Yucatan. But there ought to be quite a bit. I mean, there's a lot of commercial services in that area, I guess, so should be. Not a big cruising destination, but hey, if you're already south of Cuba, the Yucatan is probably a better choice than Jamaica, which is about your only other choices at that point. So, just retired from the Army in April. Cool. Very cool. Enjoy your retirement, because it will go so quickly. Absolutely go so quickly. I was med-retired due to injury. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Laredo. What happened to you? That's a bummer. Where were you serving, and were you injured while serving, or were you just injured? Because I have a friend of mine in New York that while we were growing up that was on a pass, on leave at home, and while on home he was fooling around with some other guys and got his knees blow out and ended up getting discharged from the Army, and he's like, oh yeah, I got wounded in the Army. No, he didn't. He got wounded because he was drunk on a weekend pass. So I flew Blackhawks on 2 one-year tours in Afghanistan and 1 15-month tour of Iraq. Very cool. Very cool. So I take it you took some injuries as a result of that. Laredo. Oh no, I'm sorry. That was definitely maybe. I'm sorry. Had people crossed in there. Very cool. When am I going to sail? Peter, that is the $1 million question. Last week, you may remember, I was all happy and positive and everything was great, and my buyer of my land was everything hunky-dory and going exciting and things were happening. And now this past week, I've not heard a word. Absolutely nothing. So I've placed a couple phone calls. I've not gotten a response back from her, so I don't know if she just fell off the face of the earth or what's happened. I don't know. I thought I was pretty much going to be out of here 1st of August. Now at this point, I don't know. And, I'm not going to know until I finally have the place in contract. And I'm tired of getting excited about somebody doing something and having them not do it. But, the real frustrating thing is this week I've sold 2 of my other listings. I'm a real estate broker, by the way, for those of you that don't know. That's what I do for a living. 2 of my other listings that I have sold this week, and my house hasn't. I would gladly give up all the rest of my listings to sell my place so I can get going. But we don't have a real active real estate market up here in Alaska. Really, we do not have a very active real estate market at all. It's not unusual for properties to sit on the market for 2 or 3 years, waiting for someone to come along and buy them. So, even really well-priced properties can still spend a year or so on the market before we have somebody, especially properties my size, because I've got 80 acres. Particularly difficult to sell up here. So, I don't know. We're waiting. We're waiting. So I don't have any specific news, Peter, about when I'm going to go sailing at this point. I don't know. I can assure you, as soon as I know, I'll be discussing it during a live stream when I have something more definite. But right now, like the man's name says, I'm definitely maybe going to be out of here this fall. Although today, I must admit, I was looking around trying to think if I had enough firewood to go through another winter. So we'll wait and see. Yes, Teresa, I thought I'd sold it too. She had the contracts, was supposed to sign them, get them right back to me. That was last Sunday. She should have had them back to me on Monday. On Tuesday, she told me she was sending them over to a lawyer to be looked at, and that was the last communications I've heard from her. And, of course, today's now Sunday, so a whole week's gone by. But that is kind of the way this lady's been. She's very busy with a lot of other irons in the fire, and apparently I don't know how much of a priority this is. So who knows? Tomorrow I might get an email from her, and she might email me back to sign documents, and everything's hunky-dory. I don't know right now. So, and I'm getting a little angry not knowing, but it is what it is. So I wanted to be a pilot. A Hilo Army wanted me to be a sniper, so didn't go in. Hey, home place. Yeah, I get that. I actually wanted to be a naval aviator, or rather Air Force pilot too. I said naval aviator because my father was in the Navy, but he was a chief petty officer. No, I wanted to go Air Force when I was in college. I actually went to summer camp. Spent a few months getting my ass kicked. Thought I was going to get a fighter seat, and then they decided 6'3" was too tall. They couldn't give me a fighter seat and wanted to have me flying rubber dog shit in cargo planes, and I said no. So I got out. I didn't end up going in the military. But sometimes these little decisions we make in our lives have a huge impact on things down the road, so it remains to be seen. Maybe she had a stroke and forgot what happened. Who knows? Yeah. I don't know. I'm just waiting to see what happens. I'm just trying to be very patient, so we will see. No news is good news. Think positive. I am trying to, last night, Scott. I really am trying to be positive. Turn off the AC and open the windows. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Florida is a whole different environment. The direct opposite part of the country from where I'm in. For those of you that don't know, I am in south central Alaska right now. I am 100 miles north of Anchorage and about 250 miles south of Fairbanks, up in the big woods with the bears. Yep. Oh, winter in Florida is still too hot for me. Subdivide. Yeah, life's nice, guy. I've looked into subdividing, and I can, but it would be a 2-year commitment, at least 2 years for me to stay here and do that, to work through all of the surveys and engineers and getting it approved by the planning board. And I don't want to be here for and I would make a lot more money if I stayed here and subdivided it. I would. I could subdivide my 80 acres up into 42-acre parcels and really cash out of here with a lot of money. But it might take 10 years to sell those parcels then. I just don't want to invest that much time. I've got a plan on what I want to do, and I want to get going while I'm still young enough to do it. So I'm in a pretty big hurry to get out into, I'm in a pretty big hurry to get out into a boat. I may not be able to afford something as nice as this Lagoon 440, but I'm pretty sure I can afford to buy something like this Dufour 48 and get out there and start doing some sailing. And that's kind of where my motivation is right now, is I'm really trying to get going so I can get on a boat and start doing the channel and the content that I really want to do, because there's a bunch of stuff I'd like to do. Last week we talked about fishing and the different things that cruisers can do to improve their luck as fishing on board. If you're out on a sailboat, you're dragging a single lure behind your boat, you're just wasting your time. You're probably not going to catch very much. But you put out a 4, 5, 6 hook spread and you create the impression of a school of fish following your boat, you're going to end up with 10 times the number of fish caught. Just because, fish aren't going to expel the energy to chase one, but they will put out the energy to chase a school, because the odds are higher in their favor that they're going to have some dinner for their effort. So let's see. I was a naval aeronaut pilot. Cool. Naval aeronaut pilot. Okay. I had an uncle who lived in that part of the country. Up here in Alaska. Yeah, it's cold. Can I ask what your price range is? My price range for buying a boat, or my price range on selling my 80 acres up here in Alaska? Because my 80 acres up here in Alaska, I currently have on the market for $299,000. The boat that I'm looking at buying, I'd like to buy something that's set up the way I want it as cheaply as possible. I'm looking at boats from $40,000 to $80,000. I'd really like to be down in that, 65 or under category, much more than I want to be up in the higher. It all depends on what the boat has and what's on the boat. I kind of am leaning towards buying a less expensive boat and then putting some of the things on it, like a water maker and a generator and a scuba dive compressor and those things on there, so I have nice new ones on board. But if I find a boat that's got all that stuff already on it and it's all in good shape, then I would go for that. So a couple of the key functions for me is I need a boat that has easy access in and out of the water. And that's why I really like the Lagoon 440 or the catamarans, because those boats have a nice big open stair step basically right down to the water's edge. Makes it very easy to get in and out of the water. So yes, I know I can forget about a catamaran for that money. I'm well aware of that. I wasn't even suggesting that I could, but there's a lot of monohulls that are made that have a very similar stern design, and that's what I'm hoping to get. Get an old crab boat, bring it down, then maybe trade it for a good sailboat. Yeah, the fuel cost of selling a crab boat would kill me, Tracy. I don't have enough. I mean, that would eat up my entire budget. So, yes, boat. Thank you. Okay. Your exact plan. Very cool. I can tell you, Mike, right now I'm in the process of purging. We had an auction last week or 2 weeks ago. Finally got paid for it, where they hauled away a whole bunch. I mean, they hauled away a truck and trailer load of stuff from my place. Didn't make a dent in the stuff I had here. The guy thought that would be enough, and he, now he's amazed he didn't even make a dent. So they're having another auction coming up, and they're going to be bringing up a lot more trucks and equipment to haul stuff away. And I probably am still going to go even after that. So that'll be the May and the June. Probably even be putting stuff into their July auction. They have one about every month, and then by the end of July, I hope to have everything sold except for those specific items I'm taking with me. I want to get everything down here in this cabin, so I'm down to just camping basically in here, waiting for it to sell so I can go. So for that price range, forget about it again. Yes, I know that. But best ever had, by the way, welcome to the channel. I've been pricing cats for months. Best ever had, I've been pricing cats for decades. Literally decades. I've been thinking about buying a sailboat and sailing around the world. I've been watching sailing videos before YouTube. You know, Paul and Cheryl Shard, when they put out DVDs about sailing, you know, going back that far, looking at Paul and Cheryl's earlier works when they were on their boat Two Step. So, you know, we're easily talking 20 years ago. Or, you know, early to mid 70s is when I started getting the idea of sailing around the world. So it's going to take a while before I get there, apparently. But now that I've divorced my wife, it's going to happen now. I'm purging everything, getting rid of everything I have so I can go now. So, you know, Rough Seas is up for sale. It's pretty well set up, I think. Yeah, Rough Seas won't work for me. It doesn't have sugar scoops. And frankly, it's not a great boat. So I would pass on that. Shrimp traps. Yeah, today's subject is supposed to be shrimp traps. I know that. I kid you not. I kid you not. Last night, Sky, it is still raining outside. I say still, not that it's just raining today. It's been raining since last Sunday. So I can't do the shrimp trap is huge. It opens it. Here, I'll show you. Oh, we'll do shrimp traps. Here's a shrimp trap. You see that? Okay. And this is not what I wanted to do, but I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. It comes out of its case and it folds up like this. These are specifically designed to have on boats like my little sailboat. Guys, while I'm doing this, I cannot see the chat. So if you're asking me a question, you just have to bear with me and I'll have to get back to you. Okay, so here's the shrimp trap. And I'll show you what happens with this thing. The thing about shrimp traps that's really cool is every time you go into an anchorage, especially one that's got a grassy bottom to it, you can rest assured that there's probably some shrimp there. Okay, so you pull this little doohicker off, this little strap that holds this together, and then guess what? Now you see why I want to do this outside? The shrimp trap opens up like that, and then it opens up, oops, breaking my computer, then it opens up like that. These arms fold up, and then catch onto here. Anyhow, it's just, it's too big to do inside my cabin. And that's why I've not done it inside here. Flip that up over out of the way. It's just too big to be able to, I just don't have, I have a little tiny cabin here, guys. I live in a 16-foot by 16-foot dry cabin up here in Alaska. So my cabin is 16 feet wide, 16 feet deep, 8-foot ceiling. I have my wood stove, my kitchen, my bed, and my office area all inside that spot. It's very, very small. So I just don't have room to open up a crab trap in here and be able to show it up. So, but it opens up and you can set the thing up and it folds back up into that little bag. Well, little bag. So it stores nice and easy, but I can open it up and drop it down to the bottom with some bait in it and catch some shrimp. And you can pretty much catch shrimp any place that you anchor that has a grassy bottom. You can rest assured there's probably some shrimp there, no matter where you are in the world. So, and I don't know about you, but shrimp are really good eating. Laredo says, I'm currently in the market for a 42-ish cat. I really like the Lagoon due to the berth design. Laredo, I chartered a Lagoon 42. In fact, I don't know if you noticed my thumbnail picture. There you go. That's the Waypoint 2. That's a Lagoon 42 that I chartered in the British Virgin Islands. Sorry, I had to drink something. She was a 42-foot catamaran. Now, this one was pretty interesting in that they took the diesel engines out and they put in a generator and electric motors. So it was kind of dumb in that regard. But let me go back and see what I'm missing here in comments while I was playing with the shrimp trap. Sugar scoop's very nice. Yes, you got to have sugar scoop. Not only for my fat butt, but to get the dog in and out makes it a whole lot easier. Can you please write here the name of the sailing channel in Med? Hello, Any Sailing. How are you? Ooh, I don't know if I can do that. Hold on a minute. Let me just see how good my... No! I think I just cut you guys off. I really do. I think I just interrupted my live stream. Okay, so KJESTRAL. I don't know if that messed it up or not. I think that's their name. If not, it'll be something similar to that, something like that. I clicked on their name and went to their channel and fell out of the live stream. So if I fell out, if live stream stopped, it should start right back up for you. If not, refresh. Sorry about that. But they're a really cool channel. Can't kill the dream. Hell no, can't kill the dream. Quick flood chat. I'm not sure what quick flood chat means. Oh, quick flood to chat while I was doing something else. Yes. And wrecks the hell out of the camera. Yes, actually, it scratched my laptop here. So everyone needs a doohicker. That's right. We all need doohickers. You can't open two in there. That's for sure. Nope. Can't even open one in here. I also like watching Venture Lives. Yeah, Venture Lives. They're from Alaska. They're selling. Actually, they had a sister boat to mine. They have a Cal 31, which is the same boat that I had up here in Alaska. I determined the Cal 31 was too small for my needs. So I don't see how this couple is living aboard a Cal 31 and sailing. But the Cal 31 for me and Lily wasn't big enough. Plus, it didn't have a sugar scoop. And it's fine if you don't scuba dive. But if you scuba dive, you really need that easy access in and out of the water. So you're basically simulating living on a boat now. Pretty close to it, Tracy. Yeah, I'm living in a pretty tight spot. How's Lily? Lily is doing just fine, home place. She's in the crate right here next to me doing great. Hey, Declan, nice to see you, buddy. Just popped on here, says 12:45 here in Ireland. Work in the morning, good night, mate. Good night, Declan. We'll see you later, buddy. Thanks for stopping in. Saw your write-up with a big gen and electric motors. Yeah, it had a big gen electric motors, and it just doesn't make sense to do that because you end up still needing a diesel engine, only now you have one diesel engine powering two electric motors. So you don't have the redundancy that you would have if you had two diesel motors. So it just didn't make much sense to me to go that route. It was kind of fun and interesting to be able to drive through a crowded Anchorage and make absolutely no sound. People were freaking out thinking I was going to wreck into them because they couldn't hear my engines running. So the electric motor was kind of fun for that regard, but and it moves quietly and it moves quickly, but it didn't move very far on batteries alone. It would pull them down pretty quickly, and then you had to run the generator. So can you please tell us the name of the shrimp trap? Yes. These are called flex folds. Let me pull up my thing here so you can see. Can you see that? Flex folds. That's the name of it. Flex fold, say that 10 times fast. Premium prawn traps at flexfoldtraps.com. And you know what? I've certainly not, I'm not sponsoring them or being sponsored by them, and they don't know that I'm even on the air talking about their traps today. I met the guy when I bought the trap, and I haven't seen the guy since. But having used them a little bit up here in Alaska, I'm really impressed by the build quality. They are very well made, so I would highly recommend them if you want to get online and order them. What I particularly like, though, is it folds all up into this bag. So I have two of them, so I can drop two traps any night, anytime I want to, and I can pack them up, and they go in that little bag, and they're only about that thick, so they pack up into next to nothing, and I can store them kind of easily. So I really like that as a shrimp trap. So, and then throw clip on some dead fish guts after you get done flaying and you've got the bones and stuff. You want something like that in there. I actually buy up here in Alaska this little pelleted bait specifically for shrimp. It's like cat food, but you can use cat food. You can use dog food. It comes in these little screw top, or you put it in this little like screw top perforated mesh thing that works. It works pretty well. So, and if I was doing this properly outside, I had all that laid out so I could show it to you. I use a weighted line with that, with the flex trap. I have a buoy that sits up, and I will tie a leaded line from the flex trap to the buoy, and I usually drop them in, about 100 feet of water. And so if I'm going into some place up here in Alaska to anchor, I'll drop them as I'm going into the anchorage, anchor there at night, and check on them midway or whatever. And anyhow, they do really well. So we are still live unless there is a delay. Okay, we should still be live. If you're not live, please refresh and you should be live again. I'm going to look at that boat in New York. Oh, cool. You, Gramps, you're going to go look at the boat in New York? I am close. I can give you a ride to check it out if it's soon enough. Outcast, I don't know when. Hey, welcome. I'm glad you're here, buddy. I don't know when I'm going to get to go over there and look at that boat. It depends. And then when I go, I'll have my own truck. But I tell you what, I'll meet up with you someplace along the way and we'll get dinner or something together. That'd be cool. Will trap work for crab and lobsters also? Yes, and that's one of the cool things about it. You can adjust. They don't design it that way, but the openings on this trap are controlled by a bungee going to, I don't know if you can see it here. See if there's a little bungee going to a metal ring. You see the metal ring right here? That metal ring is what the shrimp have to crawl through. So what you can do is you can open that up and put in larger metal rings. You'd have to kind of get in there and test your sewing skills a little bit, or your knitting skills, but you could open that up and put in a much larger ring. You might have a tendency to lose a bit more shrimp because right now it's only about that big of an opening, which is plenty for a shrimp to get through. But if you just opened it up and put much larger rings in, which you could do, you could open it up large enough for Dungeness crabs and even lobsters if you wanted to do that. So yes, it could work for all of them. And the thing of it is, the mesh is small enough that it would catch shrimp, but not real tiny shrimp. It would catch pretty good size shrimp. So I think they're pretty cool. I like having them on my boat, and I may even get a couple more. So we'll have to see. Being you're 6'3", you need a cabin with some serious headroom. Yes, Laredo, I do. I need a cabin with some serious headroom. Although, there's very few boats that I've found that don't provide adequate headroom. Good night, home place. You have to get back to work. Cool. Thanks for stopping in. We'll talk to you later. You're quite the... Oh, God. I'm the prawn star, huh? Oh, gosh. Now I guess Sailing Miss Prawn Star will have to join me on board, huh? There's pros and cons for everything. What's the cons for sugar scoops? The cons. A following sea can be a con. Hey, Paulie. A following sea could be a con with a sugar scoop. If you have a following sea that catches up to your boat, which on monohull probably isn't as much of a deal, but on a catamaran it certainly is. When you're sailing downwind and you run into particular big waves or you get into really rough storm conditions, quite often on a catamaran you'll put out a drogue behind your boat, which is sort of a braking system that encapsulates water, and so it slows down the forward movement of your boat. And if that's the case, then waves can break onto those sugar scoops, and so they might be more apt to leak. And on a lot of catamarans, there's hatches in the sugar scoops to get access to the engine compartment. So if you're not careful, you could flood your engine compartment with water. So there are some cons to a sugar scoop, but the modern boat design today, the majority of the sailboats being built today are built now with a sugar scoop. They're built with easy access, rear scoop. If you look at all the new models of almost every manufacturer, catamaran and monohull, you will see that that's the design that they've gone to now, because you know the pros so greatly outweigh any possible con. So, hello, you said Prawn Star. Yep, definitely, maybe good one. Yep. Yes, definitely. That was yes, that was good. I just watched a YouTube video for the flex fold trap. Looks like a great setup. It most definitely is best I ever had. I really like them. I really like these flex fold traps. I think they're pretty cool. On the bayou I grew up on, we used Cozy Kitten cat food in cans with a hole for lure the shrimp in. Yeah, yeah. I've seen guys take canned cat food and just take like an ice pick and poke holes in it, just so the water could flow in and out, and it would put out whatever scent was in it. That works particularly well. Although, you know, just if you're out fishing and you catch a fish and you fillet the fish, the carcass that's left over, if you put that in a hook and hang it from the top of the trap in the middle, it'll do equally as well. It'll do equally as well. These traps have a sort of a weird opening at the top. They're just a rope enclosure, so you got to pull this little round ball back, and then this whole top opens up. So it is very easy to get something out of it once you have it all properly, like wrestling. Once you have it all properly assembled, it's easy to get something out of it. So, man, my phone's blowing up here. Got all kinds of people talking to me. Alrighty, so where are we on the comments? Let's see here. See, it looks like there is a one-way door installed for crab. No, I think what you're seeing is there's a no, there's no releases. There is on this side. You'll see there's a spot here that has some cotton thread in it. Can you see the white cotton thread there? This is a requirement by law here. This cotton rope will rot quickly in the water if it's left in the water, and then this whole area here opens up. So if, for example, I threw my trap in the water and wasn't paying attention to it, and it came off of my buoy or whatever, and I lost it, that cotton string would open up the trap, and then whatever was in the trap could escape. So it's a little safety feature to it, but that's all it is. It wasn't specifically for crab. It's just a requirement on all these kinds of traps that there be a system like that that can rot and come apart, and then they can escape from the trap. So, was one con La Vagabond cut into the fiberglass with a fishing line? La Vagabond cut into the fiberglass with a fishing line. I don't know why. I don't know how La Vagabond cut into the fiberglass with a fishing line on a catamaran or even a monohull with a sugar scoop. That doesn't make any sense to me. I guess it could happen, but I can't imagine that's a boat design error. That's more like a fisherman error. I'll be out of New England at the end of June. If you're around, great. If not, see you down the road. Hey, Outcast, no problem. Yeah, I won't be up there until probably August at the earliest. So we'll have to make arrangements to meet someplace else, I guess. On the scoop. Yeah, if they're catching the scoop with a fishing line and cutting it, then that's has nothing to do with the design of the scoop. And why would a fish be underneath the scoop anyway? That doesn't seem like it makes much sense. The height off the water, the bottom of the cat will have in most cases prevent a falling wave from overtaking you while running a drogue. The height off the water, the bottom of the cat will have in most cases prevent the falling wave from overtaking you while running a drogue. Yeah, but the sugar scoops will still, because the sugar scoops have zero height off the water. I mean, the sugar scoop basically goes right down to the water's edge. It's not like the freeboard that you have on the side or on the bows. Now, and that all depends on where you put a drogue. I'm saying if somebody's putting a drogue behind them while making way, Laredo, I think what you're thinking of is if people are trying to drop all sail and just throw a drogue, then they would throw it off of the bow, in which case they'd be bow into the wind and waves. So yeah, in that case, you'd have lots of freeboard. I'm aware of people that will use a small drogue behind their boat to stop them from surfing down a wave when they're making way going forward. And in those circumstances, a following sea could poop your deck. That's called, right? You could flood the back of the boat with a following wave. So I also love to watch Sail Surf Rome. They build their own catamaran via kit. Yeah, I like Sail Surf Rome. They've got a nice channel. They do some pretty good work. I don't know about building a catamaran from a kit. There's some other people out there on some different catamaran designs too. You know, the Warrum. There's a design called the Warrum, which basically is 3 parts that are sort of tied together, and you know the lashing can come undone and create problems with them. That was a very, very early design in catamaran. You know, the modern day cats, like, you know, like the Lagoon 440 or the 45s, or, you know, any of the new French or South African cats that are being made today, even American cats. In America, we've got the PDQ, very good catamaran, excellent, actually. I'm not sure where the gunboat is made. I think that's a French boat as well. But you know, there's some really nice catamarans being designed today that are very, very strong designs. And you know, frankly, that's the future of sailing. Catamaran is the future. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that dislike catamarans, that are, you know, just dyed-in-the-wool old codgers that prefer their monohull, classic lines, whatever you want to call it. The fact is, catamarans are more expensive, yes. But I think they're safer, they're more stable, they're faster, more comfortable to sail in. So let's see. I'm sorry, but I meant I saw a one-way door for crab installed in the YouTube video. Oh, installed for the YouTube video. Okay. I'm not aware. Oh, okay. That's a different crab trap design. And those are metal crab traps that you're talking about. And yes, they have a little door that the crab can push open and it falls back and it won't go open the other direction. Yes, that design is a good design for crabs. This design actually elevates that opening up off of the bottom. It's not right at the bottom. So the crab or lobster or shrimp has to crawl up a ramp through the hole. And so when they come back, they're coming back underneath of it. They come back into the point, and they don't know then to crawl up the thing and then back out the hole. So I actually like this design better. It's more kind of like how a lobster trap is designed as opposed to a crab trap. Crab traps are made for crabs to walk in flat right on the surface. These are made where they got to walk up a ramp and then they fall into the pot, basically. Sorry. Gosh. A little dry today, I guess. Okay, let's see. Where else are we here? Older cats with low hung hulls have a higher chance of a flying wave overtaking them. Yeah, a lot of the older catamarans have what they call a low bridge deck. And that's the area between the two pontoons, very low to the ground. And so, yes, those they also bang. Waves will pound the underside of those, and they're pretty loud. Some of the older catamarans, but the newer ones, you'll see that they get the bridge deck up pretty high off the deck, and so they're a little bit easier. Sorry, I was joking. Didn't mean for you to get the trap out inside. Oh, that's okay, last nice guy. I've been wanting to do a thing on these crab traps for a while now, and well, so you know, I just got it done. Hey, you know what? Maybe what I'll do, and what I probably should do, is I'll just put together an actual video of it. I've not been doing very many videos lately because I've just been cleaning up and packing up and trying to make my place's curb appeal look nice. Now that the snow is off, I have a very short window to 5 months. I'll have snow on the ground in 5 months. So I've got 5 months to get everything done that I need to get done here, eliminate all my belongings, clean up the property, get the curb appeal all in great shape, make it all look good, and have everything that I would want to take with me packed up inside the trailer here, or inside the cabin, or buy a trailer and put it in the trailer, which I'm thinking about doing as well. So I'm kind of time crunched right now with trying to get a whole lot of stuff done. If I had people here to help me, it would be different, but it's just me, myself, and I, and so it's a slow process, especially since I'm having to work and sell real estate and stuff at the same time. So I apologize for not putting out a lot of videos. I'm going to try to get some more put up here pretty quickly. So if I had the money, I'd go for a Neil trimaran. Yeah, Tracy, I'm not a big fan of the trimarans. I've yet to see a trimaran with a spacious layout, with a roomy layout. The pontoons are usually too small for any much application whatsoever, and the centers aren't really big in them to have a whole lot of usable space. I just haven't found one that I like yet. But hey, if you like the Neil trimarans, then go for it. You know, that's what makes the world go around, is everybody's got different ideas. So, as someone who's been studying the market, what are your thoughts on the buyers-sellers market currently? Are you referring to the boat market or the real estate market, Mike? Because right now we are in a buyer's market for boats. Because we have that season coming. It's hurricane season is getting to start now. So there's a lot of guys that have been out on their boats all winter long in the Caribbean having a blast, and now they're selling them. Same thing true in the Mediterranean. A lot of guys in the Med are selling boats right now because they're swapping out the old charter boats and bringing in new charter boats. So they're unloading a lot of the old charter boats in the Med. So there's a ton of boats on the market right now. I really, really, really wish I had my property sold now, because I could get a great value for the dollar today, much better than I'll be able to get in 4 months, let's say. When the hurricane season starts passing and we start getting towards fall, we're going to see boat prices go back up, and then it's going to be more of a seller's market. But right now, man, there's a lot of boats on the market, not a lot of buyers to buy them. So let's see. I think I missed a couple quotes. Let me go back. And if you're talking about the real estate market, let me know, and I'll tell you. On the boat market, you said boat. Okay, good. So I covered that. Tons of shock loading to fatigue rigging when a low bridge catamaran bangs the surface. Yes, yeah, huge shock loading. Absolutely. It would be like a boat going airborne and then slapping down onto the deck. Except with a catamaran, you're dealing with a fairly flat surface, so it's like your boat doing a big belly flop in the water. It's not good for it. Haven't seen sugar scoops with fold-up steps that close off the steps went up, more like a standard transom. Well, then you've not looked at very many boats last night, Sky, because that is the damn. I don't know what is wrong with my throat today. That's like the new design now. That's the latest and greatest thing, is they'll have the sugar scoop, you know, which basically, you know, here's the back of your boat, the steps coming down, and then they'll have a swim platform that sticks out off the back. And so the newest design is having that swim platform come up and cover, make a flat cover over those swim steps, but yet that then folds out and becomes a swim platform at water level. That's actually the newest, and I'm saying the newest like in the last 4 years or so. That's been the latest development in boat design, is having these sterns that fold open and create a nice big swim platform on the back. Usually found in higher end boats, not so much in the really cheap boats, not so much in the charter boats. But yes, that's getting to be a kind of a common thing right now. So look at some of the newer boats and you'll see some of that going on. And that's what that does. That seals the back of the boat so you don't have to worry about being pooped so bad. But it also gives you the advantage of having a nice big swim platform for recreating on the back of your boat when you're at anchor, or when you're, especially in Europe, when in Europe, they don't dock like we do. You back your boat up to the quay. You know, the town will have like a walkway. There'll be restaurants and there'll be a big concrete, walkway, a road maybe, whatever. And you back your boat up to that. You drop your anchor and you back up. So you have two lines tying you to the ground and the land off your stern, and then your anchor, and you tension between the two of them to keep your boat in position. Well, if you fold out this stern and have this swim platform, it makes for a nice access point to get in and out of your boat. So that's sort of the latest design that they have with those. Okay, let's see. Kelly says, what would you say are the pros and cons list for safety features between a monohull and a catamaran, something newer built in the last 10 or 15 years? Hands down, Kelly, the catamaran is a safer boat. Hands down. My reasoning for that is it's a much more stable platform. Monohulls will move in the water this way, and they move in the water this way. Catamarans are flatter, and they move in the water that way. You don't have so much movement side to side because it's really wide. Lagoon 440 that Bobby and Megan are looking at buying right now, or crewing on, that boat's 24 feet wide. It's almost as wide as their current boat is long. So it's a much more stable platform, makes it much easier to walk around the boat. So hands down, I think catamarans are safer in the standpoint of walking around the deck. Now, the big argument is catamarans can flip over. Yes, they can. Catamarans can flip over. You got to be, though, in some really serious seas, really big waves, and you got to not have a clue what you're doing on a catamaran in order for that to happen. Now, there are some delivery skippers out there who have flipped over catamarans, and the reason they've done that is because they don't have the boat adequately rigged. They're sailing a stripped down catamaran, trying to deliver it on a specific date to a specific location. So they're sailing out there in storms they have no business being out there in, and they don't have the boat rigged and equipped, since it's just an empty shell at that point, trying to be delivered to whatever dealership is going to finish out rigging it. So they don't have drogues and other safety gear on board that is tantamount to having on a catamaran. So there's a lot of people that say that catamarans flip over. Well, yes, catamarans do flip over, but here's the thing. I'd rather be upside down and floating on the surface than right side up on the bottom. And that's been my thinking about it. Monohulls, you fill a monohull full of water, it's going to the bottom. You've got a very heavy keel on that. This boat that I'm looking at buying, this Drew 448 that I was looking at, the boat weighs 29,762 pounds. 9,500 pounds of that is in the keel. So what they do is they take this boat, they add 9,000 pounds of lead to the bottom of the boat to help give it stability up and down. Catamarans don't do that. They don't add weight. In fact, you want to make a catamaran as light as possible. So without that added weight, it'll tend to float. Even if it's upside down, it's still going to float on the surface. Kind of like like as if you took a tennis ball. Whichever way a tennis ball hits the water is still going to float, okay? Because you've got the round bottom, giving it flotation. I would much rather be out and feel much safer in a catamaran than I would in a monohull. You can flip a cat and it's still going to float, and can float for, indefinitely. So, Buccaneer, Lagoon 440, yes. Excellent boat, Lagoon 440. Absolutely my all-time favorite boat, and apparently Bob and Megan from Sailing Doodles is going to be out on a Lagoon 440 maybe as soon as next week. Bob's going to look at one for a friend of theirs who's going to buy it and have them charter it, so it'll be cool. Get a piece of hard candy, it'll help with the dry throat issue. Now you see, Tracy, this is why I have you guys there to remind me not to be stupid. I have a really good fan of my YouTube channel sent me these awesome lemon drops. They're sour lemon drops, but you're right. It'll keep my throat from getting dry. So thank you for that, Tracy. I appreciate it. Said, haven't I seen? Oh, I see. Okay. So you have seen those. Yes. Yeah, that's Stern Design. If you're doing something to make a cat flip, you are doing something seriously wrong. Yeah, you really are. You're out in weather that you shouldn't be, which is inexcusable today, okay? The technology we have today, we know if a storm's coming, we know where the bad weather is. If you don't, you're just not paying attention. So, and the best way to not have a problem with bad weather is don't be out in bad weather. It's not that hard. I'm not talking racing cat, I'm talking cruising cat. Yes, obviously, Laredo, yes. Guys that are out with the racing cats, like the guys on the America's Cup, they're trying to win a race, but they're pushing that boat to its limits. As a cruising boat, you're never pushing your boat to its limits. In fact, you're trying to keep it down to the most minor amount of loading on it you can. So, do you have to have too much sail to flip a cat? Yes. Yeah, if you're going to flip a cat, it's because you have it overpowered. You can minimize that by reducing your sail load. That'll have a great impact. Wash that down with 12-year-old whiskey. There you go, Mike. Yeah. Unfortunately, Mike gave me a great idea there. Unfortunately, Mike, I have some issues with my liver, so I've got to be careful on my alcoholic consumption. I don't drink anywhere near like what I used to. But with that said, I don't mind a beer. Don't mind if I do it all. It's 4:21 up here in Alaska. It's 5 o'clock everywhere there in the lower 48. So it's beer 30. Cheers, guys. Woo! Ooh, beer on a lemon drop. Interesting. You know, that actually goes particularly well. Wow, that actually tastes good that way. Okay, so how much wildlife you have running around your property? Can you vid tape it and show us next time? SV Outcast, if you go back through my videos on my channel to this past winter, you will see a lot of my trail cam footage that I put out. I have footage of a mama grizzly bear and a couple of cubs about 1,000 yards that way behind my cabin on the back corner of my property. Big old girl. I bet you she was 700 pounds and those cubs were probably 500 pounds each. So yeah, we have grizzlies right here on our property. I have I have at least a dozen snowshoe hares. I'll guarantee you I have a dozen snowshoe hares within 300 feet of my cabin right at this very moment. I have a shitload of rabbits outside. Foxes, coyotes, black bears, ton of moose. Watch my videos. Go back and look at some of my old videos. You'll see I have a ton of moose. I have a lot of wildlife here. Yep. So a lot of moose, a lot of bears in my stuff. So please go back and check it out. You'll see that there's a ton of wildlife around here. I need to go buy some of the finest cardboard box of wine any random store has to offer. Hey, definitely, maybe. Thanks for dropping in on us. I hope my live stream was up to your fine standards, sir. Please do come back and join us often. Cheers. Thanks for Outcast and Albanese for the cheers. Appreciate that. Yes, I have some moose and bear. Look at my video list. Yep. If you have the new B&G electronics, it will tell you when you are exceeding the sales boat limits. Yeah, you can dial that in. The lagoons are are very specific. When you get a new lagoon, or even you get an old lagoon, the owner's manual will be very specific about when the wind's blowing at this speed, this is how many reefs you have to put in. You can reef a sail. Reefing a sail means to reduce a sail in its size. So if the wind's blowing X speed, you're supposed to have 1 reef in. If the speed gets up to this speed, you're supposed to have 2 reefs in. If it gets up to this speed, you have 3 reefs in. And you should be reefing your headsail out as well as reefing your mainsail. So yeah, you want to reduce your sail area and really underpower your cat as much as possible. Remember, catamarans don't have a backstay, so you really don't want to put too much forward pressure on that. I did want some recent. I want some recent. Oh, okay. You want some recent videos. Okay. I don't know. I got rid of most of my trail cameras at the last auction. I might put some out. I'm not really into that right now this time of year. I'm trying to get other stuff done, but hey, if I see stuff out, I'll videotape it. That I can assure you. So, and of course, this time of year is not a good time of year to see a lot. It's really greened up outside right now. This time of year, the mooses move off to the back part of the country. They only come up here right along the cabin during the winter time. So I probably won't see much in the way of moose for 3 or 4 months, probably till October, November, they'll start coming back. And I hope not to see any bears. So probably won't see a whole lot of wildlife now, but if I do, I'll try to videotape it for you. Summer shanty. I prefer Bacardi dark rum mixed with some sweet tea. I call it a redneck iced tea. There you go. That sounds pretty good. Bacardi rum. Hey, anything is good with rum. Do you think you could do a remote live feed, say from the shore or deep in the woods? Anything other than in the cabin? Outcast, if it would quit raining, I'd be happy to be outside doing something. This has been the wettest spring I've ever seen up here in Alaska. Of course, I've not been up here for years, but I've been up here for 5, 6 years. We're like at 4 times the rain level we normally are for this month already, for May. And May is usually the driest month of the year. It's been raining up here like it does in August. August is usually pretty wet, so haven't been able to get outside and do very much. But I will try to do some live feeds from out and around. Absolutely. You know, I sold my sailboat last summer. If I still had my boat, I'd get out on it and do some videos, but it's all right. Patience, guys. I'll get my place sold here in the next couple of months, and then you'll have me out boat shopping and buying a boat, and we can really start getting to do some good content. So, isn't there a lot of whale traffic around the coast there? Yes. Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of whale traffic here on Alaska coast. A bunch. But I'm high and dry right now. I sold my boat last fall before winter because I didn't want to pay for it to be anchored all winter, and haven't bought another one yet. It wouldn't do me any good to buy another one like it. I'm very specific about what I'm buying now, so that's been a hard one for me to kick to, videotaping things. Videotaping stuff. Huh, okay. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Paulie D. We'll be under a tarp in the woods. Yeah, I guess I could put a tarp up and something under the woods. Put on some bug spray, I guess, and I'll figure something out. Maybe I'll drive down to one of the marinas or something where I can show you guys some of the scenery here. Maybe I'll do like Bob and Megan, go to a bar. Although we really don't have sailor bars up here in Alaska. I'll think of something. I will try to be someplace interesting next Sunday, okay? So you don't have to look at my bookshelves behind me. But anyhow, guys, I think that's about where we're going to end it. I think we're kind of answered all your questions. No taping cameras anymore. Oh, yes, no taping. Yes, well, I still call it taping. Hey, I've been doing video for a long time, back in Super 8 days, so to me it's still video, but you know, it is what it is. Yes, there's no taping cameras anymore, but we're still filming even though there's no film. What are you going to call it? I'm digiting? I'm going to go out and I'm going to take some digits from you. No, you're filming somebody. You're videotaping somebody. Because the tape's digital doesn't mean it's not still there. So, but seriously though, what else would you call it, Paulie? What is the PC term for videotaping somebody now that there's no tape? What's the correct terminology for that? I don't know. It's one of those classic situations where technology has changed that, but I don't think we really have a word to describe. I'm going to digitally capture you. I'll go out and shoot some digits for you, some digital captures. I don't know. I don't know what you would call that. So maybe we can continue that conversation next week and see what there is to talk about. In the meantime, we've been going on here for a bit. I think we're an hour and a half or so. I'm going to go ahead and call it here and finish my beer. And thank you guys for all dropping in and visiting with me. I really do appreciate you guys being here. So, motion picture taking. Can I shoot you? There you go, Mike. Gotta be careful up here in Alaska. You can get yourself shot for that. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and call it here for the night. You guys all take care of yourself. If you would think about it, I have one patron on my Patreon page. Anybody out there wants to join in the fun, please do. At least think about it. So we might have some fun with that and have some special stuff for people that join in. But other than that, you guys take yourself a really good week. Try to behave and be careful and be good to each other. And we'll try to catch you guys all next time. So thanks for visiting with me, and we'll see you guys later.